Denver Broncos quarterback Bo Nix proved on Sunday against the Green Bay Packers why he's elite. And now the Denver Broncos are playoff bound.
You are Locked On Broncos, your daily Denver Broncos podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, Broncos Country? Welcome into another episode, Locked On Broncos, your daily Denver Broncos podcast, now the #1 sports podcast network in the country. And that's all thanks to all you everydayers out there. Thanks for tuning in, making us your first listen, however you choose to do so. The Denver Broncos are 12-2. I'm Cody Roark, credentialed Broncos reporter for Mile High Sports, joined as always by Sayre Bedinger, site expert, predominantlyorange.com. The Broncos, they are now playoff bound after Bo Nix's elite performance in Sunday's game against the Green Bay Packers, his best game of his career, and helped the Broncos seal a playoff spot. Plus, the Broncos defense, they redeemed themselves in the second half after a lackluster first 2 quarters and a half of this game. How did they bounce back? We'll go through that. Plus, we hand out our game balls, including one to an unsung hero by the name of Michael Bandy. You'll get all that here on today's episode of the show, brought to you by our friends over there at FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Sayre, the Broncos, 12-2, playoffs clinched. Bo Nix delivers the best game of his career. It was like FedEx. When you need it overnight, Bo Nix, he delivered.
He definitely did. Over 300 passing yards, 4 touchdowns to 4 different receivers, Cody. I mean, we talk about Bo Nix being dialed in, being locked in. He's looked good the last 4 games now, right? You and I have been talking about this. A lot of other people in the national media, they're playing catch up. And here's what I would like to say after this game against the Packers. What else does Bo Nix have to do to prove himself to all these people out there who are all about EPA, analytics, PFF grade, all this other bull that we have to talk about on this show week after week? It doesn't matter. Watch football. Remember, the discussion after the Raiders game was, I saw Bo Nix's passing chart. It looks like he dinked and dunked his way all the way down the field against the Raiders in that win last week. Can't wait to face him this week. Yeah, I bet you can't wait to face him now. You know what I'm saying? I think anybody who watches games, Cody, understands that Bo has been playing great since that Raiders game that was 10-7. Bit of an ugly game, but an ugly win for the Broncos, who have now won 11 straight games. Their quarterback is the most clutch quarterback in the NFL. What happened to Drake May when he had a comeback chance after blowing a 21-point lead against the Buffalo Bills this weekend? I'm just saying, Cody, Bo Nix, he's that dude. Everybody, if they weren't already on the bandwagon at this point, man, your ticket, you ain't got one. There's no tickets left. You can't jump on board now. It's too late. But you know what? I think everybody in Broncos country who has been on the Bo Lever train, man, you're vindicated after this big victory.
100% look to train has left the station long ago. You're either on it or you weren't. So you have to, set out in the cold there. Maybe you'll take a train ride to the frozen tundra that is Lambeau Field. I mean, this was a great game here between 2 of the best teams in the NFL, the Denver Broncos, the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love was an MVP candidate. We'll talk about how the defense redeemed themselves against him later. But I would say in a game where Jordan Love was dialed in early on, I loved how we saw Bo Nix in the offense respond, right? Because they were kind of put in this situation as you have to respond. You have to make a play here, especially considering their first drive. It was so promising. And then R.J. Harvey, unfortunately, has the fumble forced by Micah Parsons. The fact that Bo and the offense were able to just shake it off and go out there and put up points. I mean, Sayre, that's what we've wanted to see from this team. And granted, it wasn't perfect from the run game standpoint. Like I felt like at times in Sunday's game, the run game, Denver used it to their advantage at times, but it wasn't like they were breaking off chunk runs. Bo Nix, though, 391 total yards of offense here for Denver on Sunday. Bo had 302 passing, but I felt like Bo with his legs, not necessarily in the run game, but just keeping plays alive. You saw him make the smart decision. You saw him make the big shots downfield. You saw his ball placement being exactly where it needed to be, giving receivers a chance and guys utilizing the scramble drill to succeed. I mean, you mentioned it, 4 touchdowns of 4 different receivers. I never felt like there was a pass in this game, and I was like, man, Bo that just wasn't a good throw. I think there were a couple he tried to test ultimately, but he threw those ones low. Packers defenders tried to make a play on it. But to me, his touchdown pass that he had to Troy Franklin, I felt like was one of the dimes of the day. I mean, underneath two defenders there, right in front of the safety, corner trailing underneath. Bo was money in this game. And this was, I would say, Sayre, his best game of his career. And the thing that I want to highlight here, because you're going to see all those chart acronym bros that you're talking about, the guys who just look at the box score. I wonder what kind of excuses they're going to make when they look at this week's box score. You know, like I said, watch the tape. You'll see the box score. You see Bo Nix's performance. But if you watch the tape, you also see how dang good he was in this game. He took everything the Packers gave, and he capitalized. What more could you ask for? Bo Nix, he's proven that he's elite.
One of those analytics guys, Cody, and I know we don't really want to focus too much on the negative stuff, but one of them said back on November 11th that, hey, if the Broncos had good quarterback play, they might actually be a Super Bowl contender. I can't help but wonder when they'll make a shift to Jarrett Stidham. And you know what?
Stupid.
I think that's just hilarious in hindsight, right? And that's, of course, that's a small voice that's coming out of a, you know, it's not the majority necessarily, but it feels like it, right? It feels like it when a lot of smart people, a lot of people that you've even maybe trusted in the past are telling you, hey, your quarterback stinks, by the way, and you're watching him play and you're watching him continually win you games, and you're trying to figure out, wait, what's the disconnect here? Why don't these people that I trust in the media love my quarterback? Because Bo Nix is a quarterback that can win you a Super Bowl. Broncos country, if it wasn't proven already before, it's proven right now. Against the Green Bay Packers, we touted this matchup as a Super Bowl preview. Do you want to know what comes along with that? The stakes of having to get on this microphone and get on this show and have to answer for the fact that if the Broncos don't show up, if Bo Nix doesn't show up, if Sean Payton gets out coached, then we have to come on here and say, hey, yeah, we called that a Super Bowl preview, and our guys, they didn't get the job done. We called it a Super Bowl preview. The Packers, they were feeling good, right? Josh Jacobs, 8-0 before this weekend when he came to Denver with the Raiders. The Packers, they're undefeated in these white uniforms. Jordan Love, dominant in Toyotathon. Well, guess what? What do you think about Bo Nix now? I mean, 11 straight wins this season, 12-0 in their last 12 games in the Mile High City. Cody, 2.5-point underdogs. I love what Bo said after the game. I guess, you know, that's because we're the overdogs or whatever he said. He called the team overdogs. He's like, I don't know what you want to say. Like, his mom thought we were going to win, you know, so I guess that's like Bo Nix. He's a Super Bowl quarterback. I think he's going to take the Broncos there.
You certainly saw it with the decision-making. You just saw just the accuracy. I would even just say some of the throws that he made, Super Bowl quarterbacks do that. And look, they still obviously have so much room to improve still, but you know what? This was one of the best offensive performances, I think, from the passing standpoint that we've seen from Bo Nix in this offense. Obviously, I think dating back to the Dallas game. I mean, this is Bo Nix for his young career here, 2 seasons into the National Football League. This is his fourth 4-touchdown passing performance, his second so far this season. So I imagine he's going to be up for some FedEx air and ground players. Like I said earlier, you know, it's like FedEx overnight. You need big Bo Nix to come up big. He delivers, and man, he did so in such a big way too. And I even liked, I don't know if you caught the post game. I mean, it sounds like you did. One thing he mentioned, it was almost kind of like, we didn't like the way that we closed this game. We just need to find, I guess we want to put up more points, but we need to figure out how to not get too cute. Like he said something along those lines to Tracy Wolfson. There are times I was watching Bo in this game where they did have some personnel issues, which we'll talk about a little bit later on this week, where he's getting mad at Sean Payton, like, get these guys in, like the clock management stuff. Bo is finding his voice. And look, I don't think he ever didn't have it. I just think that now we're seeing a more comfortable, confident, and dangerous Bo Nix. And for the rest of the National Football League, they should be worried about what's coming here. Now it sets up a big-time matchup this upcoming week against the Jacksonville Jaguars here. But Broncos country, we want to hear your thoughts on today's episode show of Bo Nix and the Broncos offensive performance. Do you agree with us? This is his best game of his young NFL career. Make sure you let us know here in today's episode of the show. But coming up next, it wasn't pretty for the Broncos defense starting off the game, but they redeemed themselves in big-time fashion in the second half. We'll break down their performance and more here on today's episode, Locked On Broncos. Today's postgame show is brought to you by our friends over there at Aura Frames. And the holidays, they're officially here, folks, which means that gift hunting season is on. And if you want something that's meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time. It's not just something you wrap, it's a way to share memories, because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before you even give it to somebody. So when they plug it in, the memories, they're already there. There's no apps to figure it out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles and memories. Whether you're getting it for your grandparents, your parents, or newlyweds in your life, anyone who loves photos, this is the perfect gift for them. You can add a personalized message right inside the frame so the gift feels thoughtful the moment that it's open. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter by using promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code locked on. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames, they sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over there at Doer. And over the weekend for the Broncos game against the Green Bay Packers, I wore my pair of Doer jeans. And the holidays are also here, and I'm not stressing about what to wear because, like I wear in the press box, I'll be wearing my Doer jeans to everything this holiday season, including some family dinners. Doer, they invented the original performance denim, and they give us the best of both worlds because you get classic jeans wear style with the kind of comfort and performance and feel that you get from athletic wear. You get the best of both worlds because it's designed to look great and stay comfortable, so you can feel that way all day long, all year round. Not only do they have jeans, they also have nice button-down shirts, which I also have a vast collection of Doer shirts in my closet. And it's time for you to experience the comfort of Doer. And I know you'll love these. Pick up a pair for yourself or as an amazing holiday gift, and check out the Doer store here in Denver at 2621 Larimer Street. Mention my promo code LOCKEDONDenver in-store to get 15% off your first order, or check them out online at shopdoer.com/LockedOnDenver for 15% off. That's shopdoer.com/LockedOnDenver.
The Denver Broncos defense pulled off a Lloyd Christmas in the second half of this game against the Green Bay Packers and totally redeemed themselves. The Broncos defense, they gave up scores on the first 5 drives for the Green Bay Packers, but in the second half, man, they put on the clamps and started forcing some turnovers. Broncos Country, we're going to talk about the defensive performance, especially how they clamped it down in the second half. But quickly want to say thank you to every single one of you out there that makes Locked On Broncos your first listen of the day every single day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. And Cody and I want to invite you, if you're an everydayer of the show already, join the All Access Club. Cody's already been putting some awesome post-game content on there, some All 22 content on the way. You get Locked On merch, discount codes, all sorts of extra bonus content that we're going to be cranking out for all of you who are part of that everyday or All Access Club. So join today, sign up. There's a link in the show notes for you to do that. But Cody, let's talk about the defensive performance in this game, because ultimately I switched up the jersey behind me. And if people are watching on the YouTube, I put up the Riley Moss jersey. I think that maybe, hey, Riley is kind of the picture of what we're talking about here in terms of the defense really redeeming itself, right? In the second half of this game, they gave up scores on the first 5 drives for the Packers offense. It was not looking good. We were texting back and forth about it. They redeemed themselves, though, in that second half.
They needed to. I mean, this was a game where, as we talked about earlier when highlighting Bo Nix in the offense, the fact that, like, you got Jordan Love out here, man, he's making plays with his legs, keeping drives alive. He's throwing the ball to spots before the receivers are out of the break, and they're making plays. I mean, in the first quarter alone, the Broncos defense gave up 3 passing plays of 25-plus yards or more, and that was a little bit of a concerning trend. You know, you had Luke Musgrave wide open on a couple of plays. And so when we're going through and watching this game, it's like, what is happening? Like, I think at halftime, it's very fair, because I put a tweet out there too, and I said, this is not the same defense we saw through the first 11 weeks of the season. What is going on? Like, what is up with the fall off here? And then I would even say the third quarter, just to start the third quarter, they gave up some big plays. Once again, Josh Jacobs rattles off a touchdown run that came after one of the most egregious pass interference calls I think we'll see all season long. Look, Riley Moss has had his fair share of PI calls. Half of those have been suspect. This one was probably the worst one that I've seen, where it's just like, what the heck is the official looking at? It was terribly called. And then on the next play, Josh Jacobs goes 40-plus on a touchdown. Now Denver's trailing 23-14, and just kind of felt like, are they going to find a way to dig themselves out of it? Thank goodness for Bo Nix. But also, it was one play on the defensive side of the ball that really kind of changed, I would say, the whole tide of this game, Sayre. Patrick Surtain II getting his first interception of the season, covering a deep pass intended for Christian Watson. What a heck of a diving play that PS2 made right there. But from that point forward, that play It was the snowball effect that gave the Broncos the momentum because Bo Nix in the offense, they go down and they score. They get the ball back. They score again. And now Denver's got the lead 27-23 going into the fourth quarter. And it was all started by the defense figuring out how to lock in.
Yeah, it was a great play by Pat Surtain, and there was a bit of a scare with him even earlier in this game, right, where you thought, man, like when it rains, it pours. I mean, the Packers, they were scoring on every drive, then Pat Surtain goes down for a play or two, and you're just thinking to yourself, man, like how could it possibly get worse, right? But he goes out there, he makes that play after the Josh Jacobs touchdown, which Cody, at some point, I mean, I know a lot of the listeners are probably thinking the same thing. Sean Payton and the Broncos, I'm sure they've already gone to the league on multiple occasions to go to bat for Riley Moss. Like this is the last straw. Like somebody's got to get fired. Like somebody's got to get fined. Somebody's got to, I don't know what has to happen, but this was a potentially game altering penalty call that ultimately, it took away what exactly the Broncos wanted to do at the beginning of that second half, right? Start off, the Packers get the ball coming out of halftime. You want to get them off the field as quickly as possible. Should have been a 3-and-out. Instead, turned into a Josh Jacobs 40-yard touchdown run. So we're talking about the difference on another play as well, where they wiped off a touchdown from Troy Franklin by blowing the play dead incorrectly. We're talking now about a 14-point swing because of officiating in this game. And I realize other stuff was called differently, things like that. But that second half breakthrough coming on that Pat Surtain interception, you talked about the snowball effect, man. It was like that play ignited the pass rush. It was like that play ignited everybody in coverage. I mean, we saw the Broncos defense from September through November. We saw that defense after that Pat Surtain interception.
What Jordan Love was doing too, because man, he was carving up the defense in the first half there. The throws that he made, but what Denver was able to do to adjust in the second half, Sarah, was crazy. Okay, get this. They hold Jordan Love. I mean, he had, I think, 215 yards at halftime passing, finished the game with 276. So the Broncos hold Love to only 61 passing yards in totality in that second half there, especially when they had the lead. Like that is huge. And of course, maybe you could throw in the fact that Christian Watson goes down. Obviously, that's a big blow to the Packers. But you and I talked about it this week here. It is the deepest wide receiver room in the NFL, and Denver has the deepest secondary in the NFL. So to see these guys come out there and make plays, I mean, it seemed like the pass rush was also getting home a lot more in the second half here for Denver. And I don't know what happened in the first quarter, 2 quarters and a half at that point, but something switched after the PS2 interception where it's like all of a sudden Zach Allen, he's getting quarterback hits and pressures left and right. JFM is Jonathan Cooper, and these guys are getting home for sacks. Like the Broncos are finally figuring out. I think it was on his 31st drop back. Jordan Love was finally sacked there. So I just think that Denver found a way here to feed off of what the offense was doing, right? The offense capitalized off of the turnovers, and then the defense continued to play like, hey, we got the lead now. Now let's pin our ears back and go play. They never flinched. And I would say that's just what we've seen from this defense all season long. Despite giving up some plays in some games, they just somehow know how to lock in. And I asked Alex Singleton after the game, I said, what does it say about you guys when you guys find yourself with your backs against the wall after you've given up some big plays? Like, how do you guys just find a way to lock in? And he said, look, we go on the sideline, like coaches obviously coach us, but it's up to us as the players to go out there and say, hey, we need to stop the run here. We need to get a stop here on third down in the pass. He says, it's up to us as players to go out there and do that because our coaches, they're coaching us up great. We just got to execute. So for the Broncos to overcome some of that adversity in this game against arguably one of the best offenses in the NFL, once again, they've answered the bell. And it wasn't pretty in the first half, but my goodness, they got the job done. That second half, chef's kiss, masterpiece. Pat gets interception. Riley Moss gets interception. Guys are contributing left and right. This was much needed.
It was, Cody, and we saw contributions from not only the top pass rushers on this team, but also the secondary pass rushers. I mean, huge shout out to Jonah Ellis for, one of the best bully pass rushes. I think that's got to be part of the Everyday or All Access Club on the film reviews that we do. Cody, you and I were talking on the phone after the game too, and asking like, hey, what clips should we show? That Jonah Ellis pass rush that resulted in a sack, that's got to be one of those clips that we show. But him, Dondre Tillman, all these guys getting involved. I mean, it's just great to see when the team really rallies around each other and you find that rally point, which was the Pat Surtain interception. that's the thing that maybe over the course of the rest of this season that we look back on that moment, just like we did last year against the Raiders when Pat had the pick six. Maybe this is that new moment to really turn the tide for this team here in 2025.
So we talked about Riley Moss getting his interception. I got a really great soundbite from Riley in the locker room that I had to show here to Broncos Country. After the terrible PI call, Riley Moss had a mic drop moment.
Reception of the year. It was great. Long overdue. The ball doesn't lie, right? Like, I had great coverage on that deep ball, and, they wanted to throw the flag from across the field, so that was fine. They could do that. Ball doesn't lie.
That's great.
That's the best.
He's got this swagger and chippiness to him, man. I love. He just keeps punching, man. That's what the Broncos need. This is a guy who just keeps punching. He comes up against the run too. He's not afraid of contact. That's one thing I think that the Broncos defense, they get a little bit of an extra boost for. But that might be the soundbite of the game here for the Broncos. But Broncos Country, make sure you let us know your thoughts on Denver's defense, how they redeemed themselves in the second half, your thoughts that you have on Denver's performance here as they now improve to 12-2, clinch a playoff spot, playoff bound for the second consecutive year, and the defense found a way at the end. But coming up next, Sayre and I, we're going to hand out our game balls, including Michael Bandy, the unsung hero, getting a game ball for his performance against the Green Bay Packers here on today's episode of the show. Broncos Country, today's postgame show is brought to you by our friends over there at FanDuel. And NFL Sundays, they move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. Like Pat Surtain's interception of Jordan Love on Sunday, that changed the course of the game for the Broncos, who were underdogs at home to the Packers. And that's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting, because you're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. After the interception, the Broncos, they started to heat up. And with FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds with every drive, every momentum swing, and every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, where a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or Bo Nix is slinging the rock all across the entire field. You get live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly, and player props update as guys heat up. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, so can you. The biggest win for the Denver Broncos this season and the best game of Bo Nix's career. You know what that means. We're going to hand out game balls after the Broncos' victory on Sunday. They now improve to 12-2 after beating the Green Bay Packers 34-26 in what was, I think, the best game of the week across the National Football League. Sayre, I'm going to give you the honors, my friend. You hand out the first game ball here on today's episode of the show. Who you got? Who you going with?
The first game ball, Cody, is going to a guy who scored the first touchdown in this game, and you teased it. It's Michael Bandy. Look, I have to say, if anybody has been out there saying too much negative stuff about Michael Bandy, it's been me, right? We're wondering on the show for the last 3 years, why is this guy on the team? What does this guy do so well at practice that the Broncos refuse to let him go? I mean, at this point, Cody, it's fair to say Michael Bandy is one of the longest tenured players on this team, is he not? I mean, he's been on the practice squad since 2023. He's been around, and he's been just behind the scenes for the majority of the time. We have not seen this guy. He had a fumble against the Houston Texans. Everybody's like, get this guy off the field. Why is he on the team? I think everybody's even wondering, why was Elijah Moore not activated for this game after just signing him? Why was it not A.T. Perry? Michael Bandy comes in wearing the old 83, looking like a little Wes Welker out there. I love it, Cody. He scores a touchdown, makes me eat crow during the game. I love it. Way to go, Michael freaking Bandy, man. He gets the first game ball from me.
Yeah, he did fantastic. And look, he's got some deceptive speed underneath. I mean, we saw that, I think, against the Texans when he had that one catch that moved the chains for a first down. But this game, his touchdown, Cortland Sutton, I mean, was so excited for him. Cortland grabbed the game ball and obviously gave that to him because that was his first career NFL touchdown. So I imagine maybe some more touches, more opportunities, maybe in the future here for Michael Bandy. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But heck of a dang performance for him. I'm going to give one. I'm going to be the easy guy. I'm going to give one to Bo Nix. Obviously, 4 passing touchdowns. We might give out 4 game balls there. You know, one of your guys got obviously a touchdown pass there. I just thought, once again, Bo Nix delivering what was the best game of his career. He answered the call against a very, very good defense. And I know at later juncture of this game, Micah Parsons suffered an unfortunate season-ending injury, but Micah was causing problems. And Bo Nix was avoiding him, adjusting him, and still making plays. This was the best game of Bo Nix's professional career against a very good opponent. For that, Bo's going to get a game ball.
I love that one. I love that pick, Cody. And I think one of the top targets from the day as well. I mean, Cortland Sutton made some huge catches. So another game ball to Cortland Sutton for this one, over 100 yards receiving, led the team in catches, led the team in receiving yards. That clutch play on 4th down. Very excited to see the all-22 breakdown of that one as well. But man, Cortland Sutton, clutch. Came through on 3rd downs, came through on 4th down, had a touchdown, just a beautiful, beautiful touchdown catch. I think Cortland Sutton deserves a game ball.
7 catches on 10 targets for 113 yards and a touchdown. I mean, I just felt like he was so reliable on the day, right? We talked about it, I think, at the beginning of the season that, hey, the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix, they have an easy button. It's easy button Sutton. He came up big here once again in this game. And all of a sudden, the attention he sees, this is a good secondary with the guys that they have. I think they have arguably one of the better safety duos in the National Football League. I was thinking coming into this game, it's like, you know, you don't have Pat Bryant in this game, obviously the rookie, but Pat's role has been so important. Other guys are going to have to step up because Green Bay is probably going to bracket him, which they did at times. But when Cortland got those one-on-ones and he got that zone coverage, he knew exactly where to sit, but he also knew where to attack. And when Bo Nix was feeling it, I mean, good things happened here for the offense. I'm going to give one to the cornerback duo here for Denver. I'm going to give one to Pat Surtain and Riley Moss. The first interceptions of the season for these two guys, which is crazy that Dondre Tillman still leads the team in INTs. But you know what? The reigning defending defensive player of the year now has one on the season. So does Riley Moss. Well overdue. They're going to get a game ball.
I love that pick as well, Cody. And I think Riley Moss, just once again, I know you played the clip. I think you can kind of feel through the camera there, just like how relieved he is to get that interception. And he said it's long overdue, or it's been long overdue. And it really has been. I mean, he's made a ton of plays on the ball this year. He's caught a ton of flack for things that are out of his control when it comes to penalties that get called. And I think that, look, him making that interception, that was just like he said, ball don't lie. I mean, he had a pass breakup on Romeo Doubs in this game that was outstanding to prevent a touchdown in the tight red zone there. Really great work on the late drives by the Packers offense where Riley stepped in, broke up another pass. So made another bunch of plays on the ball in this game and continued to prove that, like, this guy is a really good player. And I think that Broncos country, you're going to see the fruit of continually believing in his abilities week after week.
I think the final one I'm going to hand out here, I'm going to give one to the Broncos offensive line as a whole. 0 sacks allowed on the day against Micah Parsons and that Packers team. Coming into this matchup, Micah had 12.5 sacks. Now, I would say a trend that did end for Micah was it, despite the fact he has 12.5 sacks, he hadn't gotten a holding call, you know, from an offense this season. Today was the first. Garrett Bowles obviously had a holding call on Micah. But the offensive line, really after that, when he started to get some early onset pressure, I felt like they adjusted. Zach Strief did a really good job coaching these guys up, but Mike McGlinchey playing through a shoulder injury, Luke Wattenberg, Alex Paucheski, Quinn Miners, Garrett Bowles. There was nothing notable that happened from a sense of like, oh no, like this isn't good. So that means that your quarterback staying upright, 0 sacks, that I think is deserving here of a game ball. I'm going to give one to the offensive line.
I think that's a great one too, and it speaks to both the offensive line and Bo Nix, right? I mean, obviously Bo did his job to avoid those sacks as well as the offensive line. You know what? If you have to get a holding call every once in a while, like that's not maybe the worst thing when you're going up against a guy like Micah Parsons who can change the game with a strip sack. So you got to do what you got to do. Those guys did what they had to do, and they made it happen. We saw a lot of double teams, really great work on the communication up front with blitz packages and things like that. Bo Nix was able to go out there and throw for 300 yards. That doesn't happen just because he can scramble and get out of the pocket. Those guys up front, they did their job.
Well, Broncos country, make sure you let us know who you are giving a game ball to. Following the Broncos 34-26 big-time victory over the Green Bay Packers, solidifying themselves as a true contender inside the AFC, a legit Super Bowl contender in the NFL, and Bo Nix proving once again that he's elite. So make sure you send in your game balls here. For tomorrow's episode of the show, Broncos Country, all you everydayers, here's what you can expect. The Broncos, unfortunately, lost a couple of players in this game due to injury. We'll hopefully have an update on the latest on Justin Sternad and Brandon Jones. We'll also highlight some contingency plans in the event that those guys miss some significant time. We'll break down that, look at the state of the AFC, and more on tomorrow's episode, Locked On Broncos.